Thank you, everybody, for joining. My name is Tarek Hussain. I'm the CEO of McAlvin's. We welcome everybody to our aptly named webinar, Know Your App Stack. Some of you may be thinking, what's this all about? Well, we're going to tell you. Here to explain everything, though, is Darren Buckley. He knows quite a bit about football, as we've heard. He's supporting a lucky team at the moment. Darren heads up one of our group businesses, which is 100% focused on leveraging technology to give you time back and insight into your business. Insight being to help you be better informed about what makes your business tick, and time that will help you achieve your ambitions sooner. Many of you will know of HMRC's Making Tax Digital push. We're well into it now, and there's more down the road, and we'll be talking a little bit about that later on. But this whole push for Making Tax Digital has really brought about a significant investment in new platforms, accounting and related platforms, to deliver that electronic data that HMRC have been pushing for. And that we as taxpayers are now obligated to provide for most of the things that we do now in terms of business and income tax to come. As I said, this brought about accelerated rise in investment in new platforms, in particular cloud-based solutions. But those were, although some of that existed in the past, it wasn't really within reach of the smaller businesses. So now, the very smallest business to the very largest businesses have access to cloud-based solutions. Well, that's the boring stuff. Darren, over to you.
Thank you, Tarek. And yes, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session. Just adding to what Tarek has mentioned there's still maybe a little bit more boring stuff coming your way. And some of this, what we're walking through may already be known territory to some, around why the cloud is beneficial to your business. However, you may be astonished to actually hear that there are still many business owners out there not enjoying the benefits of cloud, as they're still using on-premise solutions such as Sage 50 amongst many others, Navision, Exchequer, the list goes on. But in fact, recent research shows us that there's still a staggering 58% of UK SMEs that aren't using cloud-based software. I expect that will drop significantly in the next few years, given the push towards MTD, which we will talk about in the next few slides. So yeah, just a quick summary of today's session then. We'll be talking about why cloud accounting is so important for your business, as well as give a brief review of the key drivers to change and what it has led to such a strong push towards cloud accounting across the last 10 years. We will then be talking about the endless options we have available to you here at McAlvin's to build bespoke app stacks that fit your business processes. So why cloud accounting? Firstly, let's look at some of the common pain points experienced by businesses who are still using on-premise solutions. We still deal with these types of clients, and we hear these pain points on a regular basis. And if I was to list them all, we would be here all day. But what I've done is just picked out, those common topics. So having no automation available brings, a need for mass processing. Not only can this bring with it human error, but it is a continuous time-extensive exercises that is repeated daily, weekly, monthly, and then that has a knock-on effect to your financial reporting. And actually, often business owners using on-premise solutions won't actually have an accurate representation of their balance sheet until at least the middle of the following month, which of course, for businesses, trying to grow past the pandemic, this is far from sustainable. On-premise solutions will often also be stored on a single machine or locally on a server. This not only limits user access and discourages team collaboration, but can also be quite costly to the business, who have to consider the additional expenses of owning, maintaining hardware, equipment needed by physical servers, such as repairs, maintenance, upgrades, security, and so on and so forth. So quite a costly way to run your finance function, in my opinion. And to give an example of that, we have recently actually just completed a successful implementation for an academy who, unfortunately, due to the national lockdown, did not have access to their accounting records for approximately 6 months. And as you can imagine, that was extremely detrimental to their business. What we did and how we helped them was transitioning them from Sage 50 to a product called Accounts IQ, which is a mid-market accounting solution. Their finance team are now able to work and collaborate remotely, accessing their data from anywhere, and ensure that business is constantly ticking regardless of any outside restrictions or nuances. Of course, this wouldn't be the only example. There's many other clients who were in a similar position now, having to consider what impact on-premise accounting is having to their business. And again, recent statistics show that 34% of employees will permanently work virtually past 2021. And that figure is actually double compared to what it was before the COVID pandemic. Of course, that wouldn't be possible without cloud accounting. So now to flip this slide on its head, we can now look at some of the many benefits of using cloud accounting software. Again, if I was to list them all, we would be here all day. And I don't want to bore you to death. But having your accounts on Xero or other cloud accounting software, we are able to take advantage of that automation. From connecting to your bank to allow automatic fees directly syncing into the accounts every day. And then from there, setting up bank rules that can automatically reconcile to the accounts, as well as just simple, easy one-click reconciliation against open invoices. And not to mention the ability to raise sales invoice, quotes, convert to invoices, complete your bank reconciliation, all from a mobile device whilst you're on the train commute home or boarding a plane to go away somewhere, I don't know. But having that automation in play really allows you to run your business from anywhere in the world. Cloud accounting also brings with it access to real-time financial data at a click of a button. So whether that is cash coming in or seeing exactly where your short-term and long-term liabilities lie, it enables you to effectively plan for the months ahead, which is crucial during recent times. But one point on this slide that I feel isn't highlighted enough is the value-added collaboration with us as your accountant, especially in these recent times. We as accountants, we have access to an array of tools that bolt on to the likes of Xero and AppStack, which allows us to proactively approach you when it comes to advisory services. And to give some context around that with a recent example, I had a client approach me a few weeks ago, and he was raising concerns around the company's ability to survive the next 6 months due to the effects of the pandemic. And he had actually just been declined from a lender to secure some short-term credit. Of course, not worrying for any business owner, right? And how we were able to help them is we simply and quickly integrated his Xero data to a third-party application, which analysed his accounting data. It provided recommendations for alternative funding options, and all of this took a matter of minutes. Through the app, an application was made, which was accepted within a week of the initial concerns being raised to me, and cash was received and business resumed. So just a really, something that I think isn't spoken about enough is the things that we as accountants are able to use with having your data in the cloud to really provide the value that you need, whether that's in hard times or providing the information to you, you don't even know you need sometimes, which is what I love about cloud accounting. But now I'm not saying any of that wouldn't have been possible if the client was using something like Sage 50, but we need to consider how long a process like that would have taken if they were. So not only in having us update the accounts, but also reviewing that historic data, it could be quite lengthy, providing evidence to a lender, as well as completing the application with them. All of that additional time, of course, would have resulted in us maybe having to charge additional fees to support that. But in this case, thankfully, we didn't need to. So a win all round, really. So moving on to the next slides, what is it that has driven businesses to the cloud? So let's just have a look at some of the drivers for change. The first driver, making tax digital, something that I'm sure everyone here has heard or knows about. But in April 2019, MTD for VAT became mandatory for VAT registered businesses with taxable turnover above the VAT threshold. Quarterly returns are now being submitted using MTD compliant software such as Xero, QuickBooks, amongst others, many others. We're now 6 months away from that mandatory deadline for all VAT registered businesses to be MTD compliant, regardless of turnover. So for those who are not yet using cloud accounting products to maintain their records, the best time is now to commence that transition to the cloud. But looking at the MTD roadmap covered on this slide here, you'll also see that we're just under 2 years away until the next stage of MTD is introduced. This time for self-employed businesses, partnerships and landlords with annual incomes over 10K. Records will again need to be kept digitally using MTD compliant software. And then those regular returns will be submitted to HMRC via that software. And we're already onboarding clients, for MTD for ITSA already, ahead of the mandatory date. Because what we found, when back in 2019, 2017, where MTD was first spoken about, there was just a crazy rush, and those that were caught behind at times and didn't act proactively to get on board, they're the ones that got themselves into a bit of a sticky situation at the last minute. So something that we wouldn't advise, and something that we happily help clients do, and just pretty much take that away from them. Lastly, you can see that current guidance is advising us that MTD for corporation tax will come into effect from 2026. And although the mechanics of this are not confirmed and things are changing, simply having your business in the cloud will put you in good stead. So moving on to our second driver now, also something that has affected the majority of UK businesses, COVID-19. So on average, over the past year, 70% of firms reported that the level of uncertainty facing their business was high or very high. And one industry that was hit very, very hard was hospitality. What were previously successful dining restaurants have had to close now due to not being able to quickly adapt during the pandemic, whereas some, or many local takeaways were still able to operate, and in some cases even grow during COVID. Had these restaurants operated a cloud EPOS solution such as Lightspeed or Goodtill, both of which we support, they would have been able to quickly adapt and instead provide takeaway services in the interim, with integrations to various ordering platforms such as Just Eat, Deliveroo, Uber Eats, and quite a few others actually. And for all of that sales activity then to be automatically captured via the integration to the accounting system. So allowing that business to work, even when we were told businesses, we had to close, or we couldn't actually carry on with the client or customer facing restaurant that we know that they knew and loved. We are currently assisting restaurateurs in implementing cloud solutions, so they're still able to thrive should any further restrictions be imposed. And although they're very fortunate to still be operating, this approach has been too reactive. And what that's meant is that they still have lost out quite significantly during COVID. Right now, so my next point, and so we could just go back one click there, please. So I'm going to embarrass myself here. So full disclaimer, and I promise this is semi-relevant, so stay with me. But when it comes to anything DIY, I am absolutely clueless. And the reason I'm saying that is because I'm reminded of a time when I made a trip to my local Halfords to buy some bulbs that needed replacing in my headlights. I took their offer to have these installed there and then, and I think I paid an extra £10 per bulb, so £20 in total. And just as quick as my card tapped the card reader, their mechanic had already installed them. And I remember thinking, cool, that's not a bad return for them. And if anything, I think I've been ripped off here. But it got me thinking, how long would that have taken me to do myself? I probably would have spent an hour or 3 researching on Google, watching a couple of YouTube videos, and then taking another hour or 3, most probably, to do it wrong and end up having to pay someone anyway. So a very loose analogy, I know. However, couldn't the same be said for cloud accounting and this idea of working smarter and not harder? Something I often ask clients is, how valuable is your time to your business? How valuable is your staff's time? Why would you want to spend hours on repetitive manual tasks which could be completed in a fraction of the time simply by an app, freeing up your time to focus on growing your business? One app can literally streamline an entire process, and that's why it's important that we need to consider our app stack and how this can be grown to suit the needs of your business. So moving on to the next slide. When we refer to AppStacks, us as accountants, we are firstly looking at the cloud finance solution as the hub, as the core. You will see that in the middle of this apps map on screen, we have some of the accounting solutions we implement and support here at McAlvin's. And aside from the efficiencies we get as your accountant, we're able to also provide further efficiencies to you on an operational level. By understanding your business and its processes, we are able to assist in alleviating those mundane tasks by introducing apps that can do the bulk of them for you. And as a result, providing you with a streamlined way of working. What would have required, say, full-time resource for something like credit control, we're able to completely automate the process using software that integrates with your accounting data, and working based on the invoice due dates against overdue open invoices. We're able to set tailored email chasers in order to get paid faster or on time. This piece of software, it could cost anywhere from £25 to even £100 per month, but when you compare this to the staff costs and admin time of a full-time resource, there's only one winner. Another popular improvement to the finance function we get a lot of great feedback from is around the implementation of expense and credit card management solutions. And if you could just imagine for a second, no more shoeboxes filled with receipts needing to be sent to us, or no more missing expenses that have been lost or forgotten. No more of your accountant nagging you for a receipt for a small, petty cash expense for milk, for instance. It sounds good, right? Instead, having the ability to pay for your coffee or your train ticket, or even a team outing using Apple Pay, receiving a notification straight to your phone asking you to take a picture of that receipt, which will then automatically be posted into the expense of the accounts and then automatically reconciled to the corresponding payment for the bank rec. Not only are you avoiding having to file that receipt away in the shoot box to provide it at a later date, you won't need to spend the time creating an expense report, having it sent to someone internally for approval, having it sit on a desk waiting for that approval, and then waiting for the reimbursement. How long would that process take? With a simple integration to something like Pleo, which we use quite extensively here, all of that can be done in a matter of seconds, and it really is a matter of seconds. So as you can see on the screen, there are various other efficiencies we can provide, all of which are centered around the finance function, and these apply to any industry. And when we look at something like Xero, they actually have over 1,000 cloud app integrations, but we are also well equipped to build industry-specific app stacks that provide you with increased operational efficiencies too. So I have some examples of app stacks which are bespoke to specific industry sectors on the next slide. So the first one you see here, financial services, again, you'll notice that this is much of the generic app stack you would have seen on the previous apps map, those that are suited to any finance function of a business. But we can just move on to the next one, hospitality, and pause there for a second. Now, we've already mentioned about the effect that COVID has had on this sector, but even in certain times, how many operational processes exist in the background of running a successful boutique hotel or restaurant? How many of these processes are traditionally manual? And is there any way that we can centralize a lot of the departmental requirements? The answer is yes. So from digitized procurement processes where purchase invoices are raised in an app, approved in an app, automatically tracked against a purchase invoice in an app, and then attached to a goods received note in an app, and then that, whatever those goods received were, being sent directly to your stock management solution, and having that then available in your EPOS till to serve to a customer. All of these things that could typically take quite a long time operating, behind the scenes, could be done in a matter of minutes. But also, when it comes to restaurants, having an EPOS system that is flexible based on varying menus. These days we have happy hours, boozy brunches, things like that. being able to schedule those menus to come across to your solution at certain times of the day, quickly and easily, saves a lot of headache, saves a lot of printed menus, for instance. But the main thing that we find really helps restaurateurs when it comes to the EPOS solution is having that direct integration to the accounting system. They now don't have to spend, at the end of every late shift, downloading and sending the Z report to the accountant because the takings aren't synced. Another thing here you'll see is employee scheduling, another lengthy process, or what can be quite an admin intensive and a bit of a headache for business owners in this industry. Tracking who seems to be your strongest staff in busy periods, which then enables you to book the right people for large bookings or corporate events, and even in-app quick communications to staff around shift changes or alerts for people who need cover. All of this can be arranged without even having to come to a restaurant manager to sort out themselves. All of these apps combined and integrated with each other can provide endless benefits to those in this sector. So always have to have a conversation with anyone in this sort of industry vertical.
I think, Darren, one thing to bear in mind, I mean, looking at all these sort of solutions that support running, for example, a restaurant, a hotel, or whatever it might be, are things that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you'd have spent, £50,000 plus to be able to get an ERP system to do a clunky version of what is now something that's very fluid, very flexible, and seamless as well. Even though all of these apps are independent from one another in many respects, they just work in complete synchronization. So I think it's really incredible. I'm a certain age, not that old, but a certain age where a lot of clients in my past, when I was very heavily involved in getting businesses set up and established. They're using things like Microsoft Dynamics, SAP, and so on and so forth. And just these applications, these ERP systems out of the box, don't really do much. And I can remember I had one client who spent $800,000 in development costs on SAP, and the end result was they just used it pretty much as a bookkeeping package. Yeah, it was scandalous, really, the amount of money that went into it, and it didn't work. With a lot of these things, you can switch them on, switch them off, switch to another application if this one's not quite right for you, or a new product comes along that's better, and it's not a big it's not a revolution within your business. It's a simple tweak. I think that's the exciting bit about this.
Yeah, I mean, these apps have to remain competitive, right? And they're constantly being developed on a daily, weekly basis just to have that competitive advantage across their other people in their field. But what you mentioned there is, you're able to actually create a mini ERP system just by simply integrating a few apps that, they're going to be a fraction of the cost of implementing and supporting something like NetSuite, or Dynamics, as you mentioned. And then as your business does grow, they may get to that NetSuite stage where they need that. But having your data already in the cloud, it's easily transferable. And one of our expertise is around data migration, and first of all, hand-holding clients through that initial journey, moving to the cloud, but also once they're in the cloud, working with us, understanding their processes, constantly reviewing these applications. Our team, they are experts in this field, and they're constantly reviewing the applications that we support, as well as others in the market, to really then say, well, okay, I know 6 months ago, these were your requirements, and this app stack was and is perfect for you at that time. But because you've seen such growth in the last 6 months, we feel that you might actually have more benefit moving to X app over here or Y app down here. And yeah, all of that is really seamless and doesn't take too much time at all.
Great.
Okay, yeah, so then we have our manufacturing and wholesale distribution. And the main focus here is being able to provide a cloud stock management solution which automates the procurement processes and stock reordering. And depending on the vertical, you can also have direct links to B2B and B2C sales platforms and even EDI integrations too. So we have helped some large organizations operating worldwide just with one app, basically. Then we have e-commerce apps. So enabling businesses to automatically post and reconcile online sales, ensuring that then the correct taxes and charges are recorded in the accounting software. And again, we recently assisted a client in implementing a piece of software called A2X. And what this did was it allowed this client, for all of their Shopify or Amazon sales, it allowed for automatic reconciliation between the e-commerce platform and the sales nominals. Historically, for this client, there were a backlog of errors around the recording of output VAT, which was then completely streamlined just with this one small application. And again, here, having integrations to various stock management solutions to ensure that you're able to keep up with demand. Lastly, on this screen, we have property management. And the sophistication that the leading industry apps here bring is amazing, in my opinion. So as an example, we've got Released on screen here, a really impressive application that allows landlords to completely manage their entire portfolio and supply chain, including the many nuances that you would expect within this industry. So from onboarding new tenants through the app, digitally requesting and storing their onboarding documents that you require to approve them, managing rental agreements and monitoring rental payments via the app, also chasing outstanding rentals not paid. Tenants also being able to notify the landlord of any repairs required, providing photographic evidence through the app. So if you've got a portfolio of properties, hundreds of miles away, you're able to act quickly and support your tenants via the app, reviewing these photographs, video calling to discuss, reviewing, which maintenance providers are in that area that you use or have used before, sourcing those, approving the services, and then booking the maintenance and repairs as required. So truly amazing. All of this can be done within an app. And as you can imagine, all of this typically would be extremely time consuming and a lot for one person to manage. But however, with apps like Released and Arthur, which we have here as well, the majority of processes can really be streamlined. So just moving on then, one of our niches here at McAlvin's includes the ability to provide bespoke reporting dashboards to our clients. Using business intelligence and analytics, we are able to utilize the cloud accounting data in order to provide the financial KPIs that really, really matter to you as a business owner. So not the ones that, what we say are, you get out of the box and what these apps, the core apps think you as business owners want. The ones that actually you really want to see or the ones that are really important to you. Whether that is your live EBITDA or a rolling 12-month P&L and forecast, we're able to build and provide strong data visualizations that are not just numbers on a page. You'll see here that it's not only financial data that we can present, but non-financial KPIs too. Again, all of which is tailored to what is important for you in the business. For example, it may be integrating your CRM or your marketing system to track the activity of the sales team, just as an example. How many sales calls have been achieved this week? How much has pipe grown over the last month or so compared to last? Just small things like that, but really anything. So examples, as you can see here, over the next few slides, of some of the data that we can get out of this product. And the interesting thing about this product is that we are the only people in the UK that can actually implement it. So this pretty much is something that puts us ahead of any other firm here in the UK. And again, if it was to be used within your business, you would probably be the first of anyone using it. So a really, really impressive product.
Yeah, and well, this is obviously demo data, but we're using this ourselves, in fact, for our own management reporting. So you know, it's a fantastic product. I think the way it's pulling information, again, you know, I go back to my point earlier on about ERP systems. Very large organizations, they don't even have this level of reporting, and they literally throw thousands of pounds at solutions to try to get this level of reporting. And what's really super appealing about this is the fact that it can pull information from lots of different sources, both manual sources and also you know, databases. You know, as Darren was mentioning earlier on, the CRMs and you know, whatever HR solutions you might have in place. And the financial information seems important, it is important, but there's so much other information that can be drawn into this to, you know, to put together a really informative, you know, management reporting pack, which I think is perfect to help, you know, both new businesses, growing businesses, and mature businesses.
Absolutely.
Be more successful.
Yeah, I mean, it's suited to a business of any size, whether, you know, we've got one-man bands, we've got, you know, fast-growing companies, we've got large multinational companies using this. And the funny thing is that one of the largest, or I'd say the largest ERP system globally, they're actually desperately trying to build an integration to this platform, simply because what they get out of their own just isn't fit for purpose, or doesn't give them the data that they need to really drive their business. And you can see here a quote. Sorry, Tarek.
I was going to say, here's a quote.
Yeah, beat me to it. Yeah, no, so here's a quote from our most recent rollout of this product. You know, instead of providing the data again that we assume is important to generic, you know, all businesses, we were able to discuss with this client what was actually relevant to their business, and then provide that through visual dashboarding. So yeah, really happy with this project. And
is this the e-learning client?
Correct. Yeah. So this is the e-learning client. We sort of presented this, you know, took a proactive approach, and as part of our value-added advisory services, we wanted to give them something a bit more than that they would expect from you know, the core accounting solutions, and just using the advanced intelligence that products like this offer. Again, we were just able to build various visualizations, but focusing on what really mattered for them as a startup. You know, and when I spoke earlier about when you're in the cloud, you're able to grow with your app stack. The interesting thing about this client is that when we worked with them on day one and implemented an app stack, they grew so fast and their requirements completely changed that we were able to quickly adapt and get in the new technology that they needed at that time. So yeah, this is a really, really great client.
I think one thing I think is particularly interesting about this client and the sort of information they need, non-financial information they need, is, so it's an e-learning platform. They obviously have a lot of people register for courses, sessions that are on there, and some of the data that we present back to them is, you know, how many people have registered for what particular courses and how long they stayed on and active in those courses. They just log in and drop off? Do they not even log in? And so all that kind of non-financial information, I think, is really, really, really interesting as well. And it's the sort of stuff that we're putting together on a spreadsheet before, but now we're presenting it in this, you know, in the sort of, well, kind of like this, I guess. So it's great stuff. Right.
So how can we help? We have a team of experienced solutions architects who have completed more than 500 cloud implementations collectively. In my previous walk of life, I had a nickname. My name is AppMan, Daza AppMan. And I had that nickname because I obviously have a strong passion for this area of accounting. And I was actually am actually a certified implementer of 50 plus applications. So many of the ones that you've seen on screen today. What our team are able to do is offer full end-to-end support, from complementary business process scoping through to the implementation rollout, training, and continuous support of the cloud applications that we recommend and provide to you. We do this by starting to get to know the pain points you experience within the business before diving into exactly how your business operates and the processes which drive it. By gathering this information with you, completely no obligation scoping, we're then able to take a step back and provide a report which presents what we call an application landscape of the proposed cloud apps that could be implemented to streamline your business based on the processes you've spoken to us about. We have exclusive partnerships with many of the popular software houses on the market, and also come with vast experience across all I'd say most accounting solutions. So your entry-level ones such as Xero, QuickBooks, we know Sage, we know all of the on-premise solution, because we need to know those to be able to transition you away from those. But also we support, the next step, which are the mid-market accounting solutions such as Accounts IQ, Twinfield, and Exact. So the point I'm trying to make is that when your business outgrows something like Xero, or you require something a bit more robust to fit the size of your business, we have the right people to help you transition to new cloud software. Moving on to the next slide, we've just got a couple of client quotes I wanted to share, all centered around app stacks they're now using based on our recommendations and how well this is working for them. The point here again is to reiterate that we work and advise completely based on your requirements, and invest the time with you to really nail down the current and the intended processes of your business. Our ethos really is requirements first, solutions second. So our passion is simply providing you with the best possible applications that could really help you drive your business forward. Right, so I'm sure you're all extremely bored of my voice. So I'd like to pass you back to Tarek, who's been keeping track of some questions coming in, I believe.
Yeah, thank you, Darren. I think that was very good, very informative, and I think this is a very interesting area of our profession that possibly is more synced with business needs, and I think the application. And we talk about, obviously we're accountants, we do accounting stuff, but actually probably 70% of the value in what we've been talking about is how it's supporting your business run more successfully in the areas that you're focused on. So I have got a couple of questions, Darren, that have come through. I might have one of my own as well. The first one is, how secure is data in the cloud?
Okay, yeah, so that's a common thing we get asked by clients, or a common reason why businesses don't want to move to the cloud. But I'd say very secure. If you take something like Xero as an example, they're certified as compliant with ISO 27001, which is globally recognized as the premier information security system. Something that they would have had to do a lot behind the scenes to achieve that certification. There's a lot of time, resource, and investment that goes into that, and something that has to be nailed, right? What they also have is things like user authentication and data encryption. So with users, they provide access to the software through not only a login and password, but something that we call multi-factor authentication. So this provides a second layer of security for your account, and it sort of combines something that i.e. your username and password, with something that you have, which might be an app on your phone giving you a security code that's constantly changing, right? So no one else could have that apart from you, pretty much. You mentioned data encryption as well. So all data that goes between Xero licenses, they use an industry standard TLS, transport layer security, and this protects your personal and financial data. And I believe that data is also stored on servers and encrypted when they transfer it between data centers for backup and replication. So even just that process, backup and replication, ones that would have been managed internally via a server, which can be quite costly. All of this is looked after and catered for by these software houses. So So pretty secure.
Yeah, pretty secure. Doesn't sound secure. I think it's much.
Well, I mean,
much
I think
more
I've
secure.
proved that it's pretty secure.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the other thing is the fact that a lot of these applications, obviously, they've been built with a view that they need to link up with HMRC. That's one thing. Not to say that that is the most secure thing in the world, but obviously it is. There's a lot of security around personal data there, but also banking as well, because there's obviously the link up with banking as well, and the amount of security, data security there is in banking as well, obviously, and the amount of money that goes into that, the regulations around it, and everything else. I think that should give an incredible amount of comfort. And I suppose the opposing point is, how secure is the data on your server in your office? Is it any more secure now? I suspect highly unlikely. Next question though, I'm a restaurant. I think that was supposed to be, I'm a restaurateur. How quickly can I take advantage of all this technology to help run my business?
Extremely quickly, when you're coming to people that know exactly what they're doing, right? We don't rush the process, because when we can provide scoping for certain businesses, we may need 1 or 2 sessions, because as you can imagine, if we spend 90 minutes talking about business processes and then come away, there's always going to be things that may have been forgotten or need to be added or adjusted, right? So we spend quite a bit of time with business owners, restaurant owners, really nailing down that processes and having them signed off on both sides before we even recommend an application. In terms of the rollout of the applications, once all's agreed, really, really quickly, actually. We've helped some restaurants that, could have taken on site just 1 day, even half a day, or depending on the size of the restaurant, multi-locations could take anywhere up to a week, right? But all of this is sort of discussed and agreed prior to getting going anyway. So our project managers are always keeping our clients in the loop and ensuring that things run as seamlessly as possible, because the idea is that your business doesn't have to stop whilst this is going on as well. We do this alongside you running your business, which is the most important point there.
I think also, whilst we happily come along and do things on site, we're working on a project at the moment which is based in Dubai. It's a chain of restaurants based in Dubai. So we can be we don't plan to go out there. So I think Darren would love to. I think the reality is that a lot of this stuff can be done from anywhere, literally anywhere on the planet, or potentially off the planet. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing to think about with all of this is that we are a firm of accountants, but actually we would much rather be referred to as consultants, advisors to your business. And I think going through this sort of consultation process as a part of moving into cloud and automation and looking at all these new ways of doing things using applications, that is us helping you possibly run your business a bit more efficiently. And I think the point both Darren and I made earlier on, getting time back, that is of more value to you than the time you spend pushing paper around, possibly.
Well, time is money, so.
Time is money. So many. Another question. Apologies. There's another one here which I'll save till last. It was one of the first questions, but I'll save it till last. So many of the marketplace app providers suggest anyone can do this, and they do. They make it look very, very easy. These little videos and clips of things and such like. How realistic is that? And what are the pitfalls of doing it yourself? And I would imagine there's a mixed answer there. Some things are easier than others, but we should be done.
I mean, can you do it yourself? I'd say yes and no. If you're passionate about this and you understand technology, you understand, as you said, the pitfalls of the things that could go wrong, then of course you can do it. I remember my first implementation when I was working at my last practice, and of course it was a new process, but because I knew, I'm a trained accountant, right? So I knew what the implications were of moving from one system to a new system, and and knowing about what information in the new system needed to be tracked back to the old system to make sure it was a successful rollout. So it was really easy for me. But I think the reason why we have so much success in this area is because we have the resource and the time to completely take this away from our clients. And again, going back to my previous point, being able to do this during a time where their business doesn't have to stop as well. And I'd say one of the main pitfalls is that, well, firstly, because we've got over 500 implementations, in our armory, right? We've got that experience already. We're almost pre-looking 5-6 steps ahead and understand, that the route could be a winding road in some cases, but we know exactly how to take on that winding road, if that makes sense. The challenges that might crop up or based on previous experience, with a certain application, ensuring that we've asked the right questions and we've got the right information before we even start that implementation. So yeah, I know it's probably not a clear cut answer, but at the end of the day, if you've got people here that can do it and do it quickly and efficiently, then why not use them? It goes back to my point of how valuable is your time to your business.
Yeah, indeed. I do like your analogy about Halfords and putting in, changing your headlights. I had a similar experience with window wipers, and I did actually think I was going to go and do it myself because I have done it before, but not on that particular car. And so I got the wipers. I came out, started putting them on the car, and there's, they've got that stand outside, haven't they, in the car park with that canopy thing. And I see some guys getting something else done, probably light bulbs changed and things like that. And I was fiddling around trying to get these wipers on and realised I'm not going to do it elegantly. So I walked back in and paid the difference. And then I had to wait there 10 minutes for him to finish somebody else's job. So I get that completely. Listen, one final question here, which actually was the first question on the list, is where do I sign up? So it's a good question. I thought I'd save it to last, even though it was one of the first. I think I can answer that one. Yep. So obviously, those of you that are already clients of McAlvin's, then reach out to your contacts at McAlvin's, whether that's your client director or the person you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. They'll put you in touch with Darren, and we'll have a free initial sort of consultation with you, have a chat, get to understand your business, the challenges you're facing, and maybe put forward some high-level proposals about how we can help you, all on a no-cost basis. And if decided that you want to go ahead, then then we'll obviously get the paperwork in place. But I think that's the simplest thing. Obviously, you can, if you're not a client, do reach out to either Darren or myself. Our details are on the emails that would have been sent to you, but also on our website, mcalvins.com, or you can give us a call on the telephone number that's on your screen. So I don't think there's anything else from me. Anything else from you, Darren?
No, that's all good my end. But yeah, I mean, if there are any other questions that crop up after this webinar, then please reach out. We'll be happy to assist you. Great.
So thank you everybody for joining. It's really appreciated. A lot of work goes into putting these webinars together. So it's great to see so many people attend, and look forward to hearing from you or seeing you in the very near future. Thank you.
Thank you.